It's a real big problem that I have with like sci-fi stuff.
Okay.
Like especially like video games.
Yeah.
When they have like text logs and stuff like that, that's
Sure.
fine. But when a video game stops whatever's happening to explain the in-depth mechanics of all the sci-fi, I don't care.
Yeah.
I do not care.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I would be very interested if this exists out there. I'm sure there's a 7-hour YouTube essay about it. I would like to find it. It would just be vaguely interested. I don't know if I'd watch the whole thing, but someone could explain it to me. But I would be very interested, like, how we got into over-explaining, because not only is it a problem in, like, sci-fi, but especially in, like, remakes. Yeah. I don't know why over the last, like, 20 years. I mean, I guess it was more of a problem in the aughts and maybe the early 2010s, but, like, that was everybody's complaint with, like, most prequels and stuff is, like, why are you explaining this stuff? Why? So I'm very curious as to why, like, culturally we thought it was important to explain, like, what, like the midichlorians thing is a perfect example, right?
Yeah.
Not that it's not, I mean, that's not like a, but what did, like, the test in the blood for midichlorians, and that's how you prove someone's a Jedi or something like that, or they have, like, force sensitivity?
Yeah, I think that's
like,
what
why?
It is.
Why?
I think it's the only justification I can have for it is it looks and sounds smart, and that's cool, but it's not. Like, it'll feed into one of the movies that we're talking about, but I was thinking about the RoboCop remake the other day.
Yeah.
That movie sucks because they try so hard to make a RoboCop cool. Mm-hmm. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think part of RoboCop is that he's doofy looking.
Yeah.
He's a big dumb man shoved inside of a robot, and it's campy. Yeah. And so to make RoboCop cool and sleek and black, it's just like, oh, that just goes against.
Yeah, I think
RoboCop
generally,
is
in my opinion, I think that's one of the problems with, like, modern updates with a bunch of shit is it's like, well, there was a charm, and then you took it too seriously.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, that's my problem with the 2009 Friday the 13th, which is perfect because this is technically our first October episode, so boo! But yeah, that's the thing is, like, everybody, like, I see online, there's a lot of horror content creators that, like, I watch. People like Cody Leach or Dead Meat, all these, like, that like, love the 2009 Friday the 13th remake and consider it to probably be the strongest one out of all of them.
Okay.
Because Jason's actually scary and he looks good and, like, but it's like, yeah, but that's not why Friday the 13th fans like the series.
Yeah.
It's that, like, 80s Americana, like, primary color, bright, like, that aesthetic and vibe.
Yeah.
Is what people want.
Yeah.
Generally. So, like, that's the thing with, like, you know, Jason X and Friday the Freddy vs. Jason and, like, the Friday the 13th remake, that, like, those are some of the most, like, controversial ones, quote unquote, like, where you always hear, or at least I do, like, horror content creators say, like, I don't understand why fans, like, hate this one so much, because objectively these are probably some of the most solid entries and stuff. And it's like, well, because it's just they forgot what, like, it was. You put Jason in space and suddenly it doesn't have that same charm. You know, you put him in 2009 Austin, Texas, and it's not New Jersey and it's not the 80s, so it doesn't have the same charm. Like,
it's such such an easy way to shoot yourself in the foot as a movie, I think, where like, I mean, from what
I'm totally off topic. We were initially talking about over-explaining things. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with me.
We're over-explaining our feelings. I think with that 2009 Friday the 13th, it's been a while since I've seen it.
It's pretty solid. I mean, it was fine. There's some gruesome stuff, and it's fun.
Yeah, I remember liking it.
Yeah, it just doesn't have charm, is what I'm saying.
If only there were a way I could find my feelings at the exact moment of me watching it. But I think it's so... Like, a part of doing remakes like that is, like, yeah, you have the brand recognition, so people are going to see it because of that. But the reason to make it Austin, Texas in 2009 and modern is just like, okay, well, we have to get... How do we get more people into this who wouldn't see a Friday the 13th sequel, you know? Yeah. It's like, how do we get everybody to see this? It's just like, okay, well, you are going to deter people who like the rest of the Friday the 13th movies, who are the people you're bringing in with the name.
By trying to attract everyone, you're excluding your... Which I think is a marketing lesson that they've learned these days, because I've actually heard, like, when I was going to college and I was studying, like, media art adjacent stuff, that was something that they talked about how, like, you know, corporations are no longer interested in the mass audience and they've found the value in the niche.
That's good.
And they're trying to attract niches usually. And then the other thing too is that, like, nostalgia is just red hot. I'm going to say three words to you. Okay. Here's my Friday the 13th pitch. 80s ski lodge. Okay, 2 words. Or 2 little phrases. Like, what? 80s ski lodge. Yeah, that's 3.
Ski lodge. I said ski lodge is 2 words.
It might be a hyphenated thing.
Yeah, 80s ski lodge. Yeah, do that. Absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah, so just instead
Snow.
of...
People always wanted the snow. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah,
They've
put them in
wanted
the snow.
all the time.
So instead of just, like, redoing the first or second one, but making it gritty and in 2024, just take the number off of it, make a good one. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
Just make a good one.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's
That's all I
mean, here's another example. I mean, even like like something like Barbarian, with the creature effect. Like people just like it when like the thing can be gross and scary, but they also want it to be a little silly.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think,
Absolutely,
so
yeah.
I just think we've lost sight of that. Like a little bit.
Yeah, but we had that in spades. In 1987 when Child's Play came out.
That's true, and also things like Gremlins. So yeah, Child's Play is what we were doing. Child's Play. It's Child's Play October.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween early. Eating Soup Alone is a podcast hosted by me, Christopher Crumley, and co-hosted by Nicholas Johnson. We try our best to ramble incoherently about a handful of movies at least once a week. So your experience, your relationship to the Child's Play franchise
is storied.
Storied, really? Okay.
No, I'm kidding. I growing up in, I don't know, I want to say like middle school.
Yep.
Had a bunch of friends that loved it.
Really interesting.
Loved,
why? They love Chucky, or they like the series, or what's the...
They like Hot Topic and Spencer's,
Yeah.
And so
it was
those
big.
things all kind of go together.
Specifically the stapled up iconography of like 90s Bride of Chucky.
I know for sure I have seen and have vivid memories of Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky,
right?
And a third one, I want to say.
No, just those two.
Okay, then just those two. And then with the original three, I saw like right around the time I started college, I want to say.
Okay.
Like, I watched them all in like one day.
Yeah.
Just like back to back to back, and I was like, "Wow, those are pretty good." And
Sure.
that's been so long, and they left such a little impression on me that these are new movies to me, basically.
Right.
And then I watched them the other day.
Yeah. My relationship is growing up, I was a huge horror hound. And I can remember watching these films on Comcast On Demand.
Classic.
Yeah. And I can remember generally, I think mostly enjoying Bride and Seed.
Oh, yeah.
And I just remember the second and third one feeling weaker in comparison to like the first, as well as Bride and Seed. And then generally kind of fell off. I've not seen like, there's like Curse of Chucky, Cult of Chucky, and also Sci-Fi right now has a TV show. And then something else that's kind of apart from the main chronology, because something very unique to this franchise is that Child's Play has one timeline. They don't ever reboot or like try to forget one of the sequels happened or something like that. It's always a part of the main chronology.
Is that what I think Curse of Chucky does, though?
Except for...
Sorry.
No, except for it's not Curse of Chucky. It's there's a remake with Mark Hamill as the voice named Child's Play. It's just called Child's Play because Child's Play, exists. If you'll notice, the naming structure eventually becomes blank of Chucky, blank of Chucky, blank of Chucky. Mm-hmm. Just like New Line Cinema's Friday the 13th is always Jason, Jason, Jason. You lose the Friday the 13th.
Gotcha.
Same thing happened. Universal, just like Paramount, became embarrassed of the IP, retained the rights to Child's Play, but sold the licensing to like the Chucky character.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay.
So that's why they were able to make the Mark Hamill remake, whereas Don Mancini, the guy who wrote the original screenplay, and it's his idea, it's his baby. He's written every other, Chucky Child's Play movie and continues to make them to this day, even with Sci-Fi and with Brad Dourif still voicing him on Sci-Fi, and also Brad Dourif's daughter is now involved in the franchise now. So eventually she'll be a part of it. But
do you have any interest in that show at all?
No. Maybe.
No. Like that's a tough one because I'm like, but Don Mancini and my boy Brad Dourif, I like seeing him getting paid to act, but also
I don't know.
We'll
see. Here's what I'm gonna say. We'll see how Curse and Cult go. And if for some reason at that point I'm still like, you know what, there's gas in this tank, maybe.
Okay.
All
I know about the Mark Hamill one, spoilers for a movie we're gonna watch eventually, I guess. Are we doing that?
Yeah, I think so. I think we gotta. Yeah.
He's got a Alexa in him and it goes bad.
Yeah.
Doesn't that suck?
It does suck.
Doesn't that suck?
It does suck.
Can't wait to see it.
So the first Child's Play came out in 1987, you said?
1990. We're both wrong. 1988.
88.
Directed by Spider-Man's own Tom Holland.
Tom Holland.
Screenplay by Don Mancini.
Mm-hmm.
John LaFia.
Yeah.
And Tom Holland.
Yeah.
Starring a bunch of people.
Sure.
Budget of $9 to $13 million, and it made...
Can't nail it down. I'm going to say it probably made $79 million.
It made $44 million.
Oh, okay. Not a
You
lot.
were close? You were close?
So there's a little bit that I know backstory-wise.
I bet you this is a movie that did gangbusters on VHS.
Oh, for sure.
That's probably where a lot more money came from.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of, the bigger... This is, like, one of the bigs of the 80s. It doesn't usually... Like, when you picture the Mount Rushmore, you usually picture, like, Michael, Jason, Freddy, Leatherface. But in terms of, like... I mean, he's up there.
It's
This guy's
strange.
up there.
He really is. I put Chucky in these movies in that same category. You're right, but I just never hear anyone talk about him in the same breath for some reason. And if it was just this first one and then Bride and Seed and those silly ones, I guess I would understand it. But we'll get to the second one when we get to it. But I was surprised.
That it was good?
We'll see.
Or that it was bad?
We'll see.
Okay. But anyways, so the first one, there's a little bit of studio meddling that I support.
Okay.
Yeah, I think from my understanding, Don Mancini was like kind of obviously trying to like comment on like the evils of consumerism and advertisement and child's, capitalist consumption, Cabbage Patch Dolls, all that kind of shit, right?
My buddy, yeah.
So initially, it was supposed to be like a little bit more vague, like whatever supernatural, like kind of power, brought the doll to life, to kind of like fall in line a little bit more with like, it being like the evil of capitalism or that kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
But I believe the studio stepped in to be like, how about all this voodoo stuff?
Hey, voodoo is hot right now.
Yeah. But so I definitely prefer like what's his name, Brad Dourif, who's one of my favorite actors. I do love Brad Dourif, as just like a weird South Shore strangler. That's what they call him. They say in the second one, I think that he strangled like a dozen people or something. And I love that he's in the beginning of this movie also running away from the cop as if he had been caught doing a heist or something.
Yeah, this movie starts like he robbed a bank. Yeah,
yeah,
right.
exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But whatever, I like that he's just like the South Shore strangler that's also into voodoo. And they say in the second one that the dozen people that he strangled were parts of weird, like, voodooists, kind of like ritually whatevers,
Okay.
So that's just fun. I don't know, long-haired, weird Brad Dourif is the voodoo-like South Shore strangler. That's cool.
I'd watch that movie if he didn't turn into a doll. Yeah,
exactly. And so in the beginning when the chase happens, I will say it's like I would put it in the category of like something like RoboCop, where it's not like over the top, but for some reason when it is kind of gruesome, it is kind of gruesome. Like even when he's getting shot and stuff, there's like a lot of blood and stuff. Like there's like a grittiness to this movie. But he's running from the cop. I think his like buddy gets away or dies. His buddy gets away. Is it the same? Is it Eddie Caputo that he goes after later? Is he with Eddie Caputo?
I do not remember.
I can't remember, but he's fucking bleeding like a bitch.
Stuck like a pig.
Not like a little coward baby. I just meant like bleeding like a son of a bitch. Like
that's
he's bleeding
a real
like,
bitch. Yeah.
Yeah, he's bleeding like a hell. Is what I mean to say. Sneaks off into the toy store, and I love this. I love the Ade Due Dembala. Give me the power, I beg of you. And then the fucking lightning and the clouds roll in, and he transfers his body into that of a doll. And again, just generally, I've seen, again, more horror online content creators, people like Cinemassacre, James Ralph, in his Child's Play review. And I've probably mentioned this on the podcast before. He's talked about how he's like, man, if I hadn't have seen this scene and there was more suspense of like, is the doll possessed? And also generally like just talking about things like the Twilight Zone and how there's an episode about a living doll and how it does it better and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I don't think I'm that bothered by it. I think I like this origin. I do.
Yeah.
And I think that the movie doesn't necessarily work on is the kid... Like, the suspense is not like, is the doll alive? But it's more so the suspense of knowing the doll's alive and watching all of these adults not believe a child.
Yeah,
which I think works.
I would say the best part of the movie.
Yeah, because so often,
movies.
Yeah, the kids just being like, "No, Chucky did it," and you're like, "Yeah, Chucky did do it." Like, I know Chucky's alive. Chucky did do it.
And it might have been cool, seeing this movie fresh, knowing nothing about Chucky at all.
Yeah,
being like, "Oh, is this kid the killer?" But they don't stick with that for too long.
No,
but I really sympathized with this kid, especially the second one.
Yeah,
but just that, that feeling of being a kid and just being like, no, I didn't do this. And just everybody being like, no, you did it. And
you little shit.
Just being a little kid and just being like, why won't anybody believe me?
Yeah.
And so, especially the second one, but the first one as well, it's just two movies, just that for an hour and a half. And I was just like, I feel really bad for my man, Andy.
Yeah.
And it just really, it was really good.
And so real quick, just keep it, I don't know why, but probably because I'm passionate about this film, I'm going to keep it chronological. I'll get to this in a second, but that is good contribution. The person who's chasing him down ends up being like the detective who's working, what's the kid's name?
Andy?
Andy. Yeah, he's working like the Andy case.
I remember it because of Toy Story.
Sure, yeah.
Isn't that strange?
Yeah. That is strange. So, next scene is him preparing like cereal in bed for his mom, which is pretty cute.
It is. I like the big thing of butter on it. And
Mom's
great. I do
like Mom.
Just like Sam Jackson we talked about last week. I like Mom just being like, oh, great, yeah, I'm gonna eat this later. Like she doesn't make a face or anything. She's just like, great, not hungry right now, but in a minute I'll get to this.
I'm gonna crush this. I will say that's something that I like more in the first than about the second one. Is in the first one, they do a really good job of like this single mother who's like at her wit's end, and like I really like that actress really puts her whole shit in it, and I really do like this actress. She really does like a great job. Like, when she's talking to the detective in the street, and she's like, whatever, fine, and like runs away. He's like, where are you going? She's like, I'm gonna go fucking find Chucky, I guess. And he's like, what are you talking about? And she's just off. She's just gone. But
she also, I think, fun fact, I think fell in love with, ended up marrying the guy that made the Chucky puppets.
Ooh.
And if I'm not wrong, that's where they got the idea for
Nightmare. New
Nightmare.
Yeah. Okay.
Also didn't return for the second one, but husband still made the Chuckies, and she would come visit set and stuff like that.
Aww.
Isn't that strange?
That's cute. Well, anyways, I like to take this time to say that I really personally am a fan of the what are they called? They're called
My Buddy.
Yeah, My Buddy. I like the My Buddy.
Good Guys.
Good Guy. I love the Good Guy doll.
My Buddy's the real one.
Yeah, the Good Guy doll. The packaging looks good. The doll itself looks good. All of the accessories, the cartoon, the commercial.
I like that he's got a gun. Yeah, they're all really well made.
It looks very like it could be a real product. It doesn't
exactly.
It doesn't look like they half-assed because when movies do that, they're like, oh, instead of Mission Impossible, we're gonna call it like Lethal Quest, and it's kind of lame. Yeah. But they really genuinely made something that I feel like you could pitch and someone would actually fund. Like it looks good.
And I think it really helped them that the real life equivalent, My Buddy, is just as bad of a name as Good Guy.
Yeah. And his little pajamas are cool. I mean, like when I was a kid, I can remember being like, damn, if you had like Buzz Lightyear, you know what I'm saying? It's good. It's good. If you had suit, like a PJ that looked like the Buzz Lightyear suit.
These are my Good Guy sleep sneakers.
Yes. So long story short, it's his birthday. She gets him some shit. She's poor because she's a single mom in Chicago. I also want to take the time to say that I love that aspect of this movie. I love it reminds me of something like Candyman. I love this and Candyman specifically because they both fall into that category of late 80s, early 90s, where the two I love that middle part with those two, where it's not quite either.
Yes.
Fashion looks like the 80s, but it's not flamboyant anymore. It's earth tone.
It's starting to settle down into the 90s, and for some reason,
but it's the same shape.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just muted.
And for some reason, it's always happening in Chicago.
Yeah. So I love, this is exactly, So that blending of the flamboyance, but with the muting, and then the new sleek technology, the grays and the blacks, and the Art Deco kind of coming back, but everything's kind of I don't know, just got this shadowy late night at the office feel to it. With the late 80s, early 90s.
We're not in our Fight Club phase yet, but we're thinking about it.
Yeah. And so those things remind me of season 1 X-Files.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think about Child's Play. When I think about that, I think about Jason Goes to Hell. I think about Hellraiser. I think about, even to some degree because of the FBI element of it, but I think about Silence of the Lambs. A lot of these, in my opinion, some of my favorite late 80s, early 90s era standalone kind of horror film entries. Anyways, getting a little sidetracked, but yeah, this one, fucking Candyman specifically are also set in Chicago, which is interesting to me. But she's a single mother in Chicago. She got him like the My Buddy toy chest, a toolbox. He's like, hey, I want a frickin' doll, lady. And so she's at work. She works in like a department store. She ends up buying a My Buddy off of a houseless person or whatever they call him now, right?
Oh, unhoused.
Unhoused,
yes.
Yeah. A bum in the alley. For cheap. And, I mean, we're going to jump ahead a little bit real quick because I just have to say that I love... Obviously, they shake him down later. They shake down the homeless person, and he's like, I found it in a fucking burned-out toy store on Wabash or whatever.
Yeah.
And the detective's like, that's where I shot the strangler, which lines up with the fact that, little Andy has been saying, like, his name is really Charles Lee Ray.
Yeah, at first, like, he must have saw it on the news.
Yeah. I do. Whatever. I just really quick need to say that, like, the fucking... so good. It's like over an hour into the movie when she flips it around and the doll doesn't have batteries in the back.
Yeah.
Because she grabs the box and it just falls.
Yep.
The batteries fall out and she just has this moment of like, what? So good. But we'll get there when we get there. But yeah, so that night he comes home, she gives it to him, but she also has to work, and her friend Aunt Maggie babysits. And I love it. It's so funny because it's not very funny, this first one, but in my opinion, like when it is funny, it's very tasteful. Like I love like when Andy's like, Maggie, Chucky says he wants to watch the 9 o'clock news.
It's so funny. It's so funny.
And so she goes to bed or whatever, and then,
I love that. Yeah, sorry, that Chucky,
okay.
Very risky, goes out to watch the news by himself. Yeah. Like, what is he learning from the news?
I don't know.
What I like to imagine is that just people on TV are saying his name, and he's like, "Oh
yeah." And yeah, he gets up to watch the news, and it's a nice moment because she's in the kitchen and she hears it turn on.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty spooky.
Mm-hmm.
It's decently spooky. I like that this first one does have some decent like spooks like that. It's something that I feel like maybe the second one might have been a little too hog out with. Where like I wish there was a bit more of just like those tense scenes where like noises or things are happening, but like when they look at the doll isn't moving.
Yeah.
But and it's fine, but like in the second one, yeah, it's definitely one of those things where like, the door closes and finally the teacher's alone. And he's like, all right, time for detention or something. And she's like, wow, But anyways, so yeah, long story short, I think what happens is she keeps putting him to bed, and I guess the South Shore Strangler just gets pissed at her and pushes her out a window, right? Hits her in the head with a hammer, and she knocks out the window.
Yeah, she does something. She like picks him up wrong or something that he doesn't like.
Yeah.
And then like
funny little guy. He's a funny little guy. Does he say anything to her before she falls?
I can't remember. No, I'm gonna say no because they're still kind of trying to hide whether or not it's Chucky.
Yeah.
It is Andy.
But I will say when his mom comes home, I do like that the detective immediately pegs the footprints on the thing or whatever, and then when Andy comes out, he's like, say, sport, let me see the bottom of them shoes.
I know, I like that he says to one of the other detectives, he goes, yeah, but I went into his closet, I checked all the shoes that he has, except for, I guess, the ones that are currently on his feet.
Who the fuck is sleeping in shoes?
They're sleep sneakers, Chris. It's the 80s.
Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah. And then, what happens next? I don't remember offhand necessarily.
I want to say he goes to school. He brings Chucky. And then Chucky goes, hey, get on a train and go over to this abandoned house.
Oh, yeah. Do they go over to Eddie Caputo's little, like, squat palace?
I believe so. I think we got an ad for Vanessa Hudgens at MGM Grand. And then, yes, he goes there, according to my notes.
Returns home to the crime scene. Norris believes Andy may have been involved. And tells his mother that Chucky is Charles Lee Ray. The next day, Chucky convinces Andy to skip school and take a train ride to a bad neighborhood, yes. So Chucky sneaks in there, and, he kills Eddie Caputo with the gas explosion. Because he abandoned him in the beginning, so I guess he was there.
It's also strange, because they're still trying to hide it from you on whether or not it's Chucky, I think. But also, real good shot of his little toy hand turning the gas on. I'm like, I know it's Chucky.
Yeah. Andy is discovered by the police and again considered a suspect, and Karen is informed that he will be admitted to a psychiatric hospital for observation. Karen returns home with Chucky and discovers that the doll has been moving and speaking on its own without batteries. So that's the scene I was talking about a moment ago. Great reveal. And I love this part because she's like turning on the fucking fireplace and she's like, "Speak, goddammit, or I'll throw you in the fucking fireplace." Everybody's like, "You stupid bitch, you filthy slut, I'll teach you to fuck with me." It's the first like spoken line by him as the doll.
And I think it works really well. They do it in the second one too, and I notice it more there, but it's way more subtle in this one.
Yeah.
Besides that, movie's pretty much PG.
Yeah.
Until Chucky, I don't know where he goes, "You fucking bitch," just to anybody.
Yeah.
And I also love that every serial killer is either dead silent or always going, "You bitch."
Yeah.
Like very specifically calling people bitch.
Bitch, yeah.
There's no in between. There's no third option. You're either one of those two.
Chucky bites the fuck out of her and then escapes the apartment. He's just loose.
Mm-hmm.
And Karen immediately goes out and, finds the detective, says like, "Hey, the doll is Charles Lee Ray." And he's like, "No, he's not." She's like, "Why not?" He's like, "Because I shot Charles Lee Ray or whatever at the toy store." And she's like, "Whatever, I'm going to go find Chucky," after showing him that the doll bit her. And then this like weird like kind of like 1920s silent era like montage happens of like her playing like Matches Malone and like Batman the Animated Series, where there's a bunch of like noir-esque shadowy backlit shots of her and like asking questions to bums and them just like shaking their head no. Like,
and I said it while we were watching it, but fucking it's crazy that just every movie used to look good. Yeah. Like all these shots of her looking for this man, it's just so good. Like the lighting's so good. It's just dark. It's the middle of the night. It's
that's crazy. Ooh. Yeah, I was just watching a video talking about Halloween 1978, and that was something that I had not I'd not necessarily known, but also we didn't talk about it any of the times we talked about Halloween. But the director of photography, Dean Cundy, apparently worked a bunch with Spielberg with Jurassic Park.
Dean Cundy's big, yeah.
And it's so interesting because like not to throw shade, but I just remember my sister Danielle and her boyfriend. They're like 22 or so, and remember a couple years ago they watched Halloween. And they're like, "What? This sucks. Looks bad. Sounds bad. Blah 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 blah." And it's like you're talking about one of the most legendary movies ever made.
They'll get there. They'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I saw something the other day about Halloween. I think it's like right after they see him behind a bush.
Yeah.
And they're talking to each other next to the bush.
Yeah.
Just from like the right side of the screen, you see just like a little bit of smoke come in.
Oh,
it's apparently John Carpenter just chain smoking behind the camera. It's so funny.
And I will take a second just to say that I was talking about horror content creators and blah 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 blah, and something I disagree with. I watch his videos all the time, big fan, and it's fine to disagree, but I'm just telling you because I feel like you'll agree with me, and that's whatever. But Cody Leach is one of the guys I listen to, and he does often talk about how he's like, yes, love Halloween, classic, one of my personal favorite horror movies, but also he's like, I think decently overrated. He's like, it's people talk about it like it's God's gift to Earth. It's not really that good of a movie. And then at the same time, prefers the 2003 remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Bad take.
Exactly, yeah.
Bad
it's
take.
like you can do that, but it's just I don't know. I'm not trying to be pretentious or anything like that, but like it's just that's Halloween is good, but it just is a good movie. It just is.
I would go as far to say as it's a masterpiece in the same way that like Clerks is.
Sure.
Where no one had seen a movie exactly like this before. Yeah. And also, while you're watching it, you're very aware that it was made for $30.
But the other thing, too, is that, like, my thing, and we've talked about this on the podcast, actually, we had this exact conversation, is that, like, it happened, and then nobody else could ever do it better.
Yeah.
Every other slasher movie is not as good as Halloween. Yeah. It's just not. Period.
Yeah, I can see that.
The only thing that's close is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it predates it, and it's not quite the same. It's a little different, but I guess it is a slasher movie. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like one of those things where like everybody saw those two movies and they were like, okay,
wacky.
Yeah, what if you didn't like any of the characters and they all smoked weed and fucked each other and there were boobs everywhere and the killing just happened kind of randomly and the killer's motivation, who gives a fuck? He drowned in a lake or something, and so now he's back as some kind of beast. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that makes sense because I would say arguably scariest situation I can imagine.
Yeah.
Just a man with a knife in my house.
Yeah.
And so I guess if you're going to make it a franchise and have those go on for as long as they did,
yeah,
you have to make them fun in some kind of way.
Yeah.
Make them not tense anymore. So I guess I understand it, but also that is strange to think about. Though I've never seen many serious slashers.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they just immediately went like, in my opinion, I love the Misfits, but it kind of reminds me of like, you know, the idea that Danzig wanted to be Elvis, but he just happened to also be really into cocaine and horror movies, so it just kind of came out the way it came out, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so like that's how I think about it, is like everybody's trying to do the Halloween thing, but somehow it comes out on the other end like goofy and like they missed the part that made it work. You know what I'm saying? Like I think everybody looks at the slasher genre and it's just got such a bad rap now, and it's seen as so low effort. And, you know, there are movies, in my opinion, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Black Christmas, Halloween, where the subtlety of what is making it work is also forgotten.
Yes,
you know
absolutely.
What I'm saying? So,
have you seen In a Violent Nature?
Not yet. No, I'd like to though.
Yeah, me too.
So,
I was thinking about it the other day.
Yeah.
I hear that one's what's the word I'm looking for? It's real drawn out and it's spooky, but it's also sad. So I'd like to get into it.
You know, to talk about your fun theory, and it is valid, but that's, yeah, like you hear people all the time talking about how they're like, I don't care about no people, I just want to see them get killed in fun ways. And it's like, but that's not even what the original slashers were. They just built up so much tension that, like, you know, in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, in my opinion, the most memorable kill is like one swift hammer blow to the head and then the slamming of the door, you know?
Yeah.
Or like in Halloween, there's barely any blood. A lot of the kills are just stab, like one stab, but like it just the tension is so high that when it finally happens, you're like, oh my god, you know?
And I'm just surprised we don't have both, because I adore both.
Yeah.
And I'm just strange, just odd.
It would just be interesting for me to see like a filmmaker actually try to make, you know, like an actually tense and scary slasher. You know.
Yeah. Name a director.
Ty West.
Yeah, Ty West. Do it.
Jordan Peele.
Do it. Who's Jordan?
Ari Aster.
Do it.
Jordan Peele. You don't.
You said Jordan Peele, and I thought Jordan Peterson. I was like, but yes, yeah.
Who's the other guy that did Lighthouse? Craig McCracken.
Craig McCracken. Get to it. It's Robert Eggers.
Robert Eggers. Yeah. So, anyways, I'm not trying to be, you know, Mr. Pretentious Pants, but it's just, you know, and you know, there's that thing with Texas Chainsaw Massacre where like some people do like it. It's one of the remakes that's kind of generally smiled upon, and I haven't seen it recently enough to be an ass about it, but it is undeniably a film that just doesn't necessarily have, I don't know, whatever. It's just. A lot of the times, I've said it on the podcast, my thing is like, why remake? How about just like try to, you know, do your own thing? Or, in my opinion, like instead of like a remake, I'd rather you make it just like a straight up sequel and just like, you don't have to necessarily directly reference the other shit, but just the same way that Batman never like blatantly says like in the main chronology, like even when like new writers come in, it's not often that they're like, you know what, total reset, all that other shit didn't happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, just don't even acknowledge it. Just barrel forward and cherry pick. Who cares? Like,
you could put a
make it Texas Chainsaw 26. You don't have to put the 26 on it, but you have to also restart just because you didn't put the 26 on it.
Yeah, but they did that and we didn't like it. Remember? Because that was just also a bad movie on top.
Yeah. But freaking, what am I going on about at this point? Oh yeah, like the thing I keep trying to get back to is like the 2007 Rob Zombie thing. Is like, even if he wanted it to be a Halloween movie, in my opinion, that first half, which I don't necessarily like, but at least it's original, fucking cut it off with him killing his sister, in my opinion, and just build up to that.
Yeah.
You had your own thing going.
Yeah.
And then you just Frankensteined it, that 45 minutes to a 45 minutes of just a worse version of the first movie.
Yeah, it's so strange.
Just throw that all away and just do 45 more minutes of your weird, white trash Halloween.
Yeah, I think that's weirdly unfortunately the appeal of that movie for people who like it is, there's this gross Rob Zombie stuff for 45 minutes, and then in the last 45 minutes they speed run Halloween and just make it look cool, man, and I don't have to sit through any of the tension or anything. It's just like, hey, okay, and then we both, correct me if I'm wrong, we both really like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
I think it might be one of those Spiral scenarios where we had just
I could see that.
So, you know, because the more I think about Spiral, the more I'm like, it kind of fucking sucks. But we'll see. We'll see. But my hat in the ring is that
I like to call that a jigsaw situation.
Yeah, and I will say I remember very fondly enjoying the dream sequence in the beginning.
Yeah.
Where she's in the hospital, and it's just so gross and so much more like painful, and she's in such distress, and Michael is like very brutal, and that was all decent. It really was. Because again, my big thing just being like, the thing that really tanks the Rob Zombie Halloween for me is one, just generally Rob Zombie's stinky, horrible dialogue.
Yes.
Of the first half. But if you're just gonna make a Rob Zombie Halloween, in my opinion, that first 45 minutes is more like representative of what I'm imagining. So, if anything, I give it more points than the back half, which is just a shitty sped run version of the movie. You're wasting my time, especially with the back half, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, the first half, I don't like it, but at least I don't feel like my time's necessarily being wasted until you get to that second half, and then I'm like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it's...
What was the point of any of this? Because you just made... Especially... whatever, sorry, go ahead.
It's the stinky Rob Zombie dialogue specifically on top of something we already like.
Yeah.
Why
do that?
What really drags it down, but then I think... when you get the stinky Rob Zombie stuff on top of stinky Rob Zombie stuff, I'm like, yeah, this works. This is cohesive. These two things go together. Yeah. And wow, what's the song? What was the song that they play in that movie?
Love hurts.
It was something like that.
Love scars. And while she's stripping.
Yeah. We're like, oh, this is crazy. We kept joking about it popping up in the movie over and over again, and then they end Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 with that movie, and I think we both shot up out of our seat and cheered, which is probably why we like that movie.
Yeah, and they probably should have also just not used the Halloween theme as often as they did.
Yeah.
But anyways, back to this movie. One of the bums tries to sexually assault her, and the detective, his name is Norris, he saves her. That's when he spills the beans that he stole the doll from the burnt-out doll store that Norris killed Charles Lee Ray at.
Did I tell you about that actor who plays the cop, Chris Sarandon? I mentioned him being related to Susan Sarandon in some way, correct?
I think so.
Did I get to the bottom of it here or after?
Probably after. I don't...
Married to Susan Sarandon.
Oh, okay.
Divorced, I think, pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Susan Sarandon just kept the name.
Nice.
She's just like, Susan Sarandon's too good of a name to pass up.
Yeah, I just heard that fucking Jonah Hill's last name is like Fieldman or something. It's like Jonah Hill Fieldman.
And what are Fields full of?
And he just to file the motion in like LA to like basically just drop the last name and just be Jonah Hill, you know. So.
Yeah, I get that.
It's better name?
Michael Keaton, Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
That's his name. I'm not just saying two actors back to back.
Yeah. Anyways, Chucky like stows away in the detective's car and like tries to kill him while he's driving.
Trying to stab him in the butt.
It's pretty fun. Yeah, it's a fun sequence. I like the sequence.
Did he cut the brakes at some point?
He didn't cut the brakes. He somehow accidentally like kicks the whole pedal off of the arm.
Okay.
So he keeps trying to hit the arm.
Okay.
But the pedal isn't there, so it's making it very hard to hit the brakes.
Okay.
Yeah. Like Chucky didn't do it, but like as the guy's like kicking around, he actually like kicks the pedal off.
So if Chucky wasn't there, he could have just died on his way home anyway.
Yeah, but he was thrashing, and that's what made him kick the pedal off. You get what I'm saying? But it could have happened, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know about that one. Let's go out to your car right now and try as hard as you can to kick the pedal off of that.
Hey, it was the 80s. Who knows how those things were built?
Hey, that's a great point.
But yeah, Chucky escapes because he gets shot, and he starts bleeding. So he goes to his voodoo master guy, and he's like, hey, fucker, why me bleeding? And the guy goes like, you're an abomination against all that God has created. This is really disgusting. And also, you've been in the body too long, so now you're starting to become human. And you're going to be trapped in that body unless you transfer your soul into the body of the first person that you told your true identity to. Which a lot of people think is like convoluted and lame, but it's also like, yeah, so is voodoo and shit. I think that's a fine enough explanation.
I really would have liked it if he cut it off at the first half. If he was just like, listen, you're an abomination to God.
Yeah.
It's gross. Gross stuff's happening. Yeah. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. Because my thing is, it's like, you know, like to put that parameter on it adds stakes. Like if you could just transfer to anybody, then who gives a fuck? But it has to be Andy. And I like that.
Because that was the question I had during the second one. I was like, I do not remember them saying it has to be Andy.
Yeah, it does, because it has to be the first person they revealed his true identity to.
Weird, but okay, yeah. It's voodoo.
Which is like, it's like folklore-y stuff.
Yeah,
you know? Like,
and it just works. It makes the movie go along smoother. But yeah, I didn't know that while watching Child's Play 2, and I was just
like, what the fuck is going on?
This just has to be a vendetta thing, man. Get over it.
Well, towards the tail end of Child's Play 2, I think it becomes that, because there's a point where he realizes because he tries to do the ritual and it doesn't work, and he's like, it took too long. You fucked me over. It took too long. And now he just wants to kill
Yeah.
Andy. And so in the third one, that's what's up, is he just straight up wants to kill Andy.
Okay.
Anyways, Chucky swipes the Voodoo Master's voodoo doll, breaks his leg, breaks his arm, tortures him. You know. The movie has a variety of kills here. He pushes a lady out of the window after hitting her in the head with a hammer. He tries to kill the detective while he's driving or whatever. He kills his old friend, Eddie Caputo, with the explosion. He kills the Voodoo Master with the voodoo doll. You know? Anyways, Chucky leaves for Andy as Karen and Norris arrive and find John bleeding to death. Yeah, the voodoo guy. Before dying, John tells them that in order to kill Chucky, they must destroy his heart, which is interesting. I don't know if that comes into play, really, in the latter half.
They shoot him in the heart, I think, to get him to stop.
But he doesn't stop. He comes back. And he chokes that detective at the end.
That's true. That's true.
Chucky arrives at the psychiatric hospital and kills Andy's doctor with the electroshock shock therapy device. Another pretty unique kill. Pretty gross one, too.
That looked great.
It did.
I mean, it looked bad at first because it was like, yeah, they just put some schmut on his face. But then his
his
eyes were all red. I was just like, oh.
As Chucky prepares to possess Andy, Karen and Norris arrive at the house. They got to the house.
Also, I like at the hospital after they find the dead doctor, they go talk to some girl on the ground. She goes, "Oh yeah, Chucky was here. He was looking for Andy." But I love the idea of Chucky running through the place and talking to all the kids in this asylum, going, "Hey, I'm a doll. Have you seen Andy?"
Yeah. And then generally we start like what would initially be like. This one's really interesting. This is the part of the movie that would traditionally be like the final girl circuit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not. It's a little boy and his mom and the detective, and I don't know. He's running all over this like 2-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
And he wounds the detective, and then Andy and his mom are doing like a Shining thing where they're running away from the killer, and eventually they kick him into the fucking fireplace, and this is a pretty intense scene. It was really intense. I really like that scene. They burn him up to a crisp. Then he still comes back. I like this at the end where he's all fucked up and crispy. Good.
I don't know how they do it, but that's gross.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
Fried up crispy. I know he's a doll, but I'm like, ooh, yuck. I don't like looking at him.
Same thing in the beginning of the second one, like when they're like redoing him and they're like popping his eyeball out of his like flaky flesh. I'm just like, oh, why is it so gross? It's just a doll. But somehow I'm convinced that it's like this like flesh and blood living thing. And they've done a good job of that for sure. Which I think is a testament to the, you know, the all of the people working on the mechanical puppetry side of things, and Brad Dourif's voice acting, just kind of both of those things coming together very well.
Absolutely. The Wikipedia page, I'm impressed, has a dedicated section of the list of puppeteers on it and stuff
Wonderful.
like that. Yeah.
And, basically it ends with Chucky coming back for one last little, you know, spook, and the detective there with the mustache, and the scene, you know.
I like that detective because he reminds me of my dad. But
Oh,
also, I like when he's just like, Chris Sarandon's like, "Do you believe me now?" And the other guy's like holding his sword because, "Yeah, who's gonna believe me?"
Yeah. And that's the first Child's Play, you know. I consider it a pretty solid 80s slasher. You know, maybe not as like impactful. That's even hard to say. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. How would you rank this compared to like, let's say, like, let's just go 80s with it. Like the first Friday the 13th, the first Nightmare on Elm Street, the first Child's Play. How are you ranking these?
Oh, bottom.
This is bottom.
Yeah, I'd
Really?
say so. Out of those, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Interesting. Because I don't even necessarily consider Friday the 13th, the first one, to be that good of a movie. But I think you're right.
Actually, no. Yeah, no. I'm gonna stick by it.
I don't know. Nightmare on Elm Street is probably the most like creative and original, which probably makes it the best. And I would, if I were going like objective, like which ones are objectively good movie kind of things, I would probably go like Nightmare, Child's Play, Friday the 13th. Personal list would probably be Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Child's Play.
Oh, we're not putting Halloween in there?
Halloween 78.
Okay,
I'm
that's
just going like
point.
straight
That's a
80s.
good point.
You know what I mean?
I'd say Nightmare, Friday, Child's Play.
Yeah. Anyways, but so I think I still probably gonna give it like a C+.
I was gonna say a hard C. Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write that down. Here comes the second one. This one was pretty new territory for you, yeah?
Oh, absolutely.
Did you know anything going into it?
No.
Okay.
I like. I think I vaguely remembered them putting him back together at the beginning, but that's pretty much it.
Okay.
I wrote a whole page of notes, but I did it like a caveman and wrote it on paper, so I left it at home.
Okay.
So I'm freeballing this one.
Sure.
Actually, you know what? No, we'll start with the old rigmarole first.
Sounds good to me.
Child's Play 2, 1990, follow-up to Child's Play 1 from 1988. 2 years, that's a pretty quick turnaround. Directed by John LaFia, who wrote the first one, or helped write the first one. Written by Don Mancini. Box office of $13 million.
On a budget of?
I'm sorry, budget. A budget of $13 million with a box office of
30?
35.
Oh, okay.
Which means it made $9 million less than the last one.
Yeah, which isn't too crazy because if you can fact check this, I think the first Friday the 13th made like 80 million, and the second one might have made like 30 or something.
That's not great.
Yeah. But they kept going because, again, like these movies, except for Takes Manhattan, I think they were made for like 1 to 3 million. You know what I'm saying? So like even if you still made 30 million on 3 million, you know what I'm saying? So, anyways, kick it off a little bit.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Chris, Child's Play 2. I like quite a bit.
Yeah? Would you
Really?
say you like it more than the first one, or?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
And it's probably because it just reminds me of a bunch of other movies that I like.
Like what? What are some of the movies that come into mind for you?
Fucking RoboCop immediately.
Really?
Immediately
Yeah.
RoboCop. Yeah, they put them together like RoboCop, and then it's just a bunch of nerdy businessmen like the Omnicorp guys from RoboCop.
Okay.
And then, you know, he has to go to that foster home, and then there's the moody foster kid who's like an older teenager, and she doesn't want to be there. I don't need you, Don. You're not my dad.
Really quick, I wanted to fact check. The first Friday the 13th cost about $500,000, and it made 60 million actually.
Christ.
The second one cost about 1.2 million and made 21.
Oh, Christ.
So, you know, then the third one cost about 2 and it made about 36. Fourth one cost about 2, made 33. Fifth one, Roy, cost about 2, made 21. So what I'm saying is, like, these were huge cash cows because, like, even if they only made 20 million, they really only spent like 1 or 2 million on them. So it's, you know, it's like printing money.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
I'd be like, spend $500,000 again, and then maybe we'll make $60 million again. Okay,
Yeah.
Stop giving them $1 to $2 million.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then there's he gets to the orphanage, and there's the angry teenage orphan who's just like, I'm not going to be here for long. And it's like, oh great, Friday the 13th 5. That's what you're giving me here.
Really quick, I also want to say that there's a lot of shots that are not necessarily like fisheye or 0.5, but they kind of have like this like childish perspective.
Yes, absolutely.
Very interesting. The foster home has that like pink pastel-y toy kind of feel to it.
Yeah, and it just got me right back into Child's Play 1 didn't do it, but I watched Child's Play 2. I'm like, oh, we're back, baby. It's Halloween. We're doing this podcast. I'm so excited about it.
Yeah, it does. It definitely
really
has. Yeah, it's got that like 4, 5, 6 Halloween feel.
Absolutely,
sure.
and I loved every second of it.
Yeah, so it starts out and basically the how did we like lightning bolt bring the monster back to life is for the sake of like doing some PR, the assistant to the owner of the Good Guy franchise or whatever is like, yeah, we acquired the doll, and everybody's like, you know, it's like a huge controversy right now, the evil doll thing, the killer doll thing, and so we're gonna like make it a new doll, that just to prove that it's not like haunted or possessed or whatever. And in the midst of them repairing the doll, the person gets like fucking electrocuted to death
By voodoo, yeah.
By voodoo, yeah. And the guy who owns Good Guy is like, get the fucking doll out of here. If you read Wikipedia, it says that he tells his assistant to dispose of the doll. What he actually says is, he says, what do you want me to do with the doll? He's like, stick it up your fucking ass.
Love it. It was one of my notes I wrote down. I remember very clearly.
Yeah. And I do like his death sequence a lot. Even as a kid, this always stuck out to me. It's raining. This is like some classic Halloween stuff. It's raining. He puts the doll in his trunk. It's nighttime. Trunk won't close with it, so he puts it in the back of the car.
Uh-huh.
You know it's possessed. You know he's going to kill him. He goes to like the liquor store to just get some liquor, but they won't take his fucking gold card or whatever because they only take cash, and he doesn't carry cash because he's a rich asshole. He goes out to the car, and it's raining, and he's sitting there, and basically he gets plastic bagged or whatever. I mean, at first I think he just holds a gun to the back of the guy's...
Yeah.
And like asks him some questions and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
but then he plastic bags him, and it's just kind of gruesome. It's a little tough watch.
What would it have done to this movie for you if Chucky had shot him? What if Chucky shot a guy with a gun in this movie?
I will say I just saw a meme. It was like a reel, and it was just they had photoshopped. I probably said it to you, but it's like photoshopped the wands in Harry Potter instead of just every time it's a gun.
That's so funny.
So it's like Neville is saying something to Hermione, and she's like, "No, this is how it goes," and then bang, and then it cuts to like Neville like flying back with blood everywhere. But I don't know. I feel like it would have maybe lost some spooky points, but Chucky would have got a lot of aura for sure. He would have got a lot of aura points.
That was happening. That scene was just going on and on and on, and I was thinking about it. I was like, I don't think I've ever seen a slasher hold someone up with a gun. Yeah. And I was like, actually,
you have seen Michael Myers stab someone with a rifle.
That's true. I was like, it'd be pretty sick. Chucky was just shooting people with a gun. Yeah.
He'd be unstoppable at that point. I feel
unstoppable, yeah. Little guy with a gun, yeah.
But he loves strangling. He's the Lakeshore Strangler.
Yeah, that's his whole thing.
So he suffocates that guy, and then we see Laura Palmer's mom.
Yes, she runs
the orphanage or whatever, or foster home agency, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I think
foster home agency.
I would say an orphanage gives kids to foster homes. I think is that how that works?
Okay.
When they're like running out of room.
Okay.
Maybe? I don't know.
Well.
But Dad's not about it.
No, Dad's a little skeptical. He's like, I don't know. They never say. I like how they keep it kind of ambiguous. Like when Laura Palmer's mom is talking to them, she says basically just like, hey, he made up this story about his doll being possessed by a strangler to like help him cope. But like I even rewound the scene. She doesn't say like he killed people or his mom killed people. She does say her mom bought into his delusion, and that's why she's in a psychiatric ward right now, and that's why he's in foster care. But she doesn't explicitly say what happened.
Yeah, and they never say anything about the two other cops, and like no one ever really fucking. Look, they don't tell you what happened after the last movie.
And I don't know why. I've always just loved the poster for this one.
Sorry, Jack. Chucky's back. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's Chucky. He's got a big old scissor, and there's like a Jack-in-the-Box in front of him. He's about to cut the Jack-in-the-Box head off.
Oh, also forgot to mention the last one. I like how as the movie goes on and he becomes more human, he starts to look more like Jack Nicholson. But he just has his hairline by the end of it. I think that's very funny.
Yeah. The little Andy character is played by Alex Vincent also. How do you feel about Alex Vincent as an actor?
For a child, I think he's not bad.
Yeah.
His sweaters go fucking crazy in this movie. Yeah. Oh, my God. I'm looking at it. I have the movie playing right now.
Yeah.
Oh, he's just got this black and gray striped sweater.
Fun that you're looking at it. I wish I was looking at the movie.
And then right in the middle, there's just like a little red plane. Oh, it's so good.
And he's always just going like, Chucky did it. And everybody's like, you fucking menace. There is no Chucky.
And I love what I was saying about the last one, and especially this one, about how no one believes him, and that's very sad. It makes me sad the whole movie. I like that every time Chucky kills somebody, they almost make it a point for that person before they die to see Chucky. Yeah. And see that Chucky killed them. So everyone goes, oh no, Andy was right. And then they die.
Real quick, like when his foster dad is like hanging from the staircase, everyone's like, how's it hanging, Phil?
It's so good.
One of the better lines in it, in my opinion. The better Chucky lines.
Dude, I can't.
How's it hanging, Phil is good.
I do.
Brad Dourif as a killer doll saying, how's it hanging, Phil?
It's so good.
It's good.
Yeah, and it reminds me of this, which is why I'm bringing it up. I don't want to go see Beetlejuice. Yeah. Every time I see that trailer, and he goes, he comes out of the thing, and he goes, the juice is loose. I'm like, fuck, I gotta go see that movie. That's really funny.
Yeah, that reminds me. The other day I heard that, and I'm sure they did more takes. I'm sure that like the take that's in the movie is not necessarily the time that it happened, but what inspired the whole nice fucking model thing. Have you heard the story?
No.
Oh, basically was that like Michael Keaton had done that, knocked over the tree, and then he was looking at the set designer and said like nice fucking model because it wasn't supposed to fall over.
That's so
funny. And Tim Burton says that he immediately clocked that as like I couldn't even believe that someone said that to another person. Like, I was just like he's like that's just like the most rude thing I've ever heard. So I was like put in the movie. You know?
Fuck, that's funny. Yeah. I saw this is our Beetlejuice episode. I saw like a very short interview with Michael Keaton the other day. Yeah. Talking about this and just be like being excited for doing the new one and yada yada. Yeah. And he's like, yeah. And then it was like the week before shooting, and I was like, oh fuck, I don't remember how to do Beetlejuice. I better get that down before we start filming again.
That's funny. Yeah, I also just watched an interview where he was talking with probably like Jimmy Fallon or something. And Michael Keaton was saying that, like, or Jimmy Fallon was saying to him, he's like, I just saw this clip from, like, when you were promoting Batman and you spoil the movie.
Yeah,
and then he played the clip of him being like, and, you know, like, you know, whatever. And I think David Letterman goes, like, something like, oh, because the Joker killed his parents, like that. He's like, yeah, but he doesn't know that yet. But, like, that was something that, like, nobody knew yet about the movie, whatever. And so then they cut back to present day, and he's like, really? I spoiled what? He's like, you say that the Joker killed his parents? He's like, yeah. And he's like, people didn't know that. He's like, they didn't know that? Like, even today in present day,
that's so funny.
Yeah.
I think I might be mixing up two interviews, but
Sure.
I also very similar to the one I just said when he was talking about, like, making Beetlejuice and, like, doing the voice and the mannerisms and stuff like that. Just be like, I think this is fun. Like, just did it by himself.
Yeah.
And then, like, they went to go shoot it, and he's like, I haven't talked to Tim Burton about this at all. He's like, I was thinking about doing a thing like this. And Tim Burton's like, great, just do it.
Yeah. It also reminds me of the Army Hammer, is that his name? Or Army Ermy? What's his name? The drill sergeant in Full Metal Jacket.
No, Army Hammer's the cannibal.
Ernie Army or something. What's his name, though? It's like
Probably,
Army.
Probably not Ernie Army.
Look it up. Look it up right now. See what it is. It's Arlie. It's Arlie Ermy. His name is Arlie Ermy. I swear on everything holy.
It's no way this man's name is so close to Army. It's R. Lee Ermy.
Yeah, I told you, dude. I told you, Arlie Ermy.
His name is basically Army.
Roger. But basically, he wanted to play the drill sergeant, but did not get it. There was a guy who was cast as the drill sergeant.
Eric Stoltz.
Do you know this? You knew this?
No, Eric Stoltz was the guy that filmed as Marty McFly for 2 months.
Yeah. I was also thinking about that story, and I figured that's probably what it was. But anyway, so what happened, though, was he was the on-set, like whatever you want to call it, like advisor or whatever, like the person who was a Marine drill sergeant, so he was basically the one on set being like, this is what it's like. So they had shot footage of him interacting with the, like, extras. Mm-hmm. And, like, basically being in character because, like, again, he was, like, showing them what it's like kind of a thing. And he took that as an opportunity basically to get the interview that he wasn't able to get. And so, like, he did basically, as soon as Kubrick saw that, he was just like, oh, yeah, fuck that other guy. Like, that's what I want.
Good. That's so good.
And so, like, when I was watching, also had a talking head with the guy who was originally cast. And he was really cool about it. He was like, I can't blame Army, you know. They were going to shoot footage of him doing it, and he just did his thing. Like, you know, it's, you know.
Full Metal Jacket, it's got all that fun stuff. And then it just turns into another movie for the second half of it.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that second movie. Like, I know I had, like...
I've seen it, but I haven't seen it since I was, like, 12, so I'm very unfamiliar with the film generally.
My friend's older brother thought that the boot camp stuff, especially Army, was so goddamn funny.
Army.
And so he'd play it all the time, and I'd seen it like a million times. And then it ends with, spoilers for a 40-year-old movie, it ends with Vincent D'Onofrio shooting himself. Yeah. And I was like, this is very sad. I would like to stop watching this.
Yeah. God damn it, Gump. You must have an IQ of 100 or goddamn 70. Right? It's so good. Anyways, back to this film. Right?
They bring him to the foster home, his new foster parents.
Yeah.
And luckily, I remember writing this down. I'm just looking at it in the movie right now. She shows Andy to his room, and she goes, and here's your room. I painted it just for you. I bet blue's your favorite color.
Right. I'm just reading that.
What does that mean? One, this room has wallpaper.
Yes.
And in what context do you think that's like... I know it's not that serious, but in what context do you think it's okay to say to somebody, I bet that's your favorite color, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's what the
yeah. That's fair. It is. And, it's kind of a sneak diss.
Now that I think about it, if you looked at me, Chris, and you went, I bet you red's your favorite color, I'd be real upset for some reason, because it's not. And why would you think red is my favorite color? What are you trying to say?
Is it green?
No.
Is it blue?
No.
Purple? No. What is it?
It was blue for most of my life, but in recent years, I've been like, you know what? I like yellow quite a bit.
Yellow.
So I think he's yellow, yeah.
And it was all yellow. But Chucky uses...
Hey. What's your favorite color?
It probably has to be blue.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, no.
You're a real blue guy. I buy that.
I feel like I got blue vibes.
My thing it was green for a very long time as a kid.
Because money, bitch.
Because I love that cheddar. And then around, I don't know, high school maybe, I was just like, oh wow, every time I get to pick a color for something, I pick blue.
Gold yellow.
But gold yellow. I was like, I always pick blue. Yeah. And then I'm like, so I guess that means that's my favorite color.
$100 bill, bitch.
Exactly.
Anyway, sorry.
And now I always pick yellow because I love piss stuff. So
piss stuff is good, yeah. I just heard horrible piss stories before we did this podcast. frightening piss stories.
Okay.
Anyways, the Charles Lee Ray uses the assistant's car phone to be like, "Where does Andy live?" And the foster mom is just like, "Oh, 123 Maple Lane. Who's calling anyways?" And he's just like, "It's his Uncle Charles."
Yeah, that's right.
What the fuck?
Also, there's no way.
She's not giving that information out.
Yeah, it's crazy. No way. I haven't talked about it specifically on this show.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do it again. Straight up. Don't know how a car phone works.
No.
Every time I see one, I'm like, that's magic.
Yeah.
And also, you know what? I'm going to say, I don't believe that they're real. I think they're a movie thing. Because I've seen lots of cars that were around in 1990. I ain't never seen no fucking car phone.
You know what I just realized?
What?
A lot of Brad Dourif's voice for Chucky is like kind of Jack Nicholson-ish.
Oh, absolutely.
How's it hanging, Phil?
Also,
It's his Uncle Charles.
hate to do it. It's my one complaint in this movie.
Huh?
Brad Dourif, tone it down by 10%. He's going a little hard in this movie.
Yeah, you think so? Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
So fucked up that there was that Chucky doll in his closet.
Yep, crazy fucked up. Hi, I'm Tommy. Wanna play?
Oh, and not to jump ahead. I don't know why. It was so funny to me when she digs up the other doll in the backyard at the end.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Well, yeah, so Chucky shows up. He sees that there's another good guy doll, and I think he, like, bumps it while he's sneaking into the house, and it starts saying shit, so he smashes it to bits. Then he goes and buries it in the yard. And then, Chucky, like, takes the place of Tommy, and he remembers from the night that he got in when he, like, accidentally bumped the doll and said, like, "Hi, I'm Tommy, want to play?" So when he's sitting there and Andy walks up to him or whatever, he goes, like, "Hi, I'm Tommy, want to play?"
Yes, and I like that it's in
Sorry
the
about that.
high voice, too. It's pretty good.
And, and then Andy immediately flips around and checks for batteries. I like that. I like that the movie
Smart
remembers
move.
itself.
Pro move.
Because it also doesn't over-explain it, too. Like, it doesn't go like, "Well, I did that because in the first movie my mom noticed there wasn't batteries." You know what I'm saying? Fun. That was a good detail. I like that a lot. And I like how many times in this movie Chucky is this close to getting the chant done. Like, this movie specifically,
Yes.
You know what this movie reminds me of? It reminds me of that episode where Sideshow Bob wants to kill Bart.
Yeah.
And Sideshow Bob just keeps, like, showing up in his room at night, like, "Oh, Bart, I finally now is the moment." And then, like, Homer will, like, show up and just be like, "Bart, I made you cookies for no good reason." Like,
Bring where's my new chainsaw hockey mask?
Yeah, exactly. And really fun in that sense because there's like 9 times where he's like chained to the bed and like has a sock in his mouth, and then like the foster parents will come in and just be like, "God damn it, 16-year-old daughter of ours who smokes cigarettes. I cannot believe you would chain up your little brother, foster brother, because he caught you smoking," or just stuff like that.
When they cut to that overhead shot of him tied to the bed with
Yeah.
Chucky over him, I out loud to myself went, "This is crazy."
Yeah.
It's like, I cannot believe what I'm seeing in this major motion picture right now.
Yeah. So Chucky reveals himself to Andy, but Kyle enters the room before he can complete the voodoo chant. "Ah, de do de dem ba la, give me the power I beg of you." Kyle doesn't believe Andy, obviously.
And this is all really bad because earlier Andy smoked a cigarette, so
Yeah.
he's gonna go to hell if he dies.
Absolutely. Phil throws Chucky into the basement in frustration. Chucky realizes that he's becoming human again because he suffers a nosebleed from this. The next day, Chucky secretly follows Andy to school, defaces his homework, resulting in Andy being punished to detention because he says, like, "Fuck you, bitch," on the piece of paper.
So funny.
Loves calling people a bitch.
Wrong turn, fucker.
Yeah, wrong turn fucker is so fucking good. And you know what's even crazier is I think we forgot to fucking mention
We
that in
did.
that
Yeah,
episode.
we did.
Did we cut it in after?
I don't think so.
God damn it, dude. Wrong. You're fucked. God
Just so
damn it.
everyone knows now, that's the best thing I think I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, hands down, funniest thing
What
I've
does
ever
it
seen
say?
in
It
a movie.
says, let me see, Nightmare on Elm Street. I think it says you're fucked. Image. Yeah, so good.
You're fucked. That's so good.
The map says we're fucked. That's fucking so good. So anyways,
Just real quick, we just skipped
I
over.
love watching horror movies. I'm
Me
watching
too.
the third one when you leave. Unless you want to hang out and watch it with me. It's late, though.
It is. I got stuff to do. I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
We skipped over it just real quick. It is when he does find Chucky again, and Chucky calls himself Tommy.
Yeah.
He's like facing his fears, and he has the doll, and he's walking out, and the parents go, hey. He goes, hey. And then he just leaves with it.
Yeah.
And they both go, huh.
Yeah. Progress.
Chris?
Yeah.
If you have a little psycho boy that you're fostering who thinks his doll is killing people, and he takes that doll and goes, bye-bye.
Not more like, oh, buddy, what are you up to? Huh? What's going on?
You ask questions. There's no way he's doing anything.
Not good parents.
There's no way he's doing anything cool with this doll. I know it's a movie and he does, but like,
Chucky kills Sparkle Motion Mom by stabbing her with an air pump and then beating her with a yardstick. Remember that? Remember Sparkle Motion?
I sure do. I wrote down Donnie Darko Mom.
Yeah. Andy tries to warn his foster parents about Chucky, but Phil refuses to believe him and considers returning him to the foster center. Yeah, that night he sneaks into the basement with the fucking, like, the cut the turkey, like a chainsaw style little knife thing in his hand. And,
I was going to say, the dad doesn't consider it. He very much is begging for it to happen.
Yeah. And yeah, this is the night where Phil falls down the stairs because Charles does the thing that everybody's afraid of will happen when you're walking in a basement staircases. He trips him by the foot and he's dangling. How's it hanging, Phil? 10 out of 10. Blast a couple air horns for me. Great. He breaks his neck. Joanne, who has like a vaguely European accent, I feel like, throughout this whole movie.
It's weirdly like transatlantic. Yeah, it's very strange.
She blames Andy and tells him to get away from her when she's dead, which is crazy because that scene, like, I feel like I walk into that scene and clearly it's not Andy's fault.
Yeah.
He's standing in the corner countering with like a thing and Phil's obviously fallen and broken his neck.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It made me so unbelievably sad.
Very uncomfortable scene. You feel very bad for Andy. Kyle discovers Tommy buried outside because she's smoking a cigarette on the thing and catches her foot on Tommy's foot and pulls out the doll, realizes she just threw away Chucky too. This is a really nice. I do like this scene because like there's the tension of her like walking up to the trash can. Then she takes the lid off and Chucky's not in there. And so she knows that he's just loose. And then she starts yelling to the open window to her mom. Foster mom.
Yeah.
Not hearing anything back, she goes into the dark house and she approaches her mom, who's sitting at the sewing machine table and is dead. Mm-hmm. All great. That was good stuff.
That's the one exception. You don't know if she saw Chucky coming or not. So she might have died thinking Andy was a murderer, which makes me very sad. But also, I love I lost it. Chris, I'm so sorry. I feel like in any other movie, by this point specifically, when Twin Peaks mom is taking him back, Andy would just be done. And especially as a little boy, just being like, well, fuck it, nobody believes me, so whatever, I'm just going to do it. I like that when they're leaving, he goes, okay, hey, listen, Lisa, foster sister, you got to get that Chucky out of the house, okay? I'm not dropping it.
He now holds a knife to Kyle, is her name, foster sister.
Okay.
And makes her go to the foster center to get Andy. Mm-hmm. She pulls the fire alarm, and then Twin Peaks mom is like, you pulled that fire alarm, didn't you? And Charles is just knife to her back, being held by Kyle. Stabs Grace to death and captures Grace's Twin Peaks mom and takes Andy. Kyle pursues them through the streets into the nearby Play Pals factory, but is unable to find them before Chucky knocks Andy unconscious and completes the ritual. Yeah,
she drives there, and she's hawking at that guy because Chucky's in his trunk.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And I was thinking about it like, okay, you stop Chucky, you do whatever. This movie ends, spoilers, and they stop Chucky. And then what?
Yeah.
Nobody believes you. And then
same
what?
thing as the first movie.
Exactly. Yeah. Luckily, the first movie was like, but for some reason, with the first movie, that they got 2 cops to believe him, I was like, oh, everything's going to be okay for some reason.
Which they don't address in the second one.
Not at all.
Because they say that the mom gets institutionalized for believing him, but they don't say what happened to the 2 detectives.
Exactly. Yeah.
But anyways, how do you feel about this factory setting at the end?
Great.
I think it's awesome.
I think it's great.
Very cool.
Well, it's
1,000 Chuckies being made.
Don't know why. I don't remember how they get there. If it really makes any sense, but I think it's great. It's a great set piece for this movie.
And I love when she traps Charles's hand and he has to rip it off. It's gruesome for one. It's gross.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Ugh.
And then when he shoves the blade into his fucking arm, Evil Dead style, even just doing it is gruesome because he's like. Yeah, and he like puts it in there and he tapes it all up, and now he's got a knife in his hand.
And this scene is the last 3 movies that this reminds me of.
Huh.
Terminator.
Yeah.
Because of all the conveyor belts and stuff.
Yeah.
Evil Dead because of the knife arm.
Yeah.
And The Fly because he comes out all fucked up at the end.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
How could you not like this movie?
Yeah, it's an 80s hodgepodge schlock fest of just all kinds of shit.
Made in the 90s, yeah.
Yeah. I've been watching, we've got this neighbor over here that the entire time we've been doing a podcast has just been hanging out in pajama shorts, smoking a cigarette, and hanging out with a cat that may or may not be his or a stray. But I don't know, he's like sitting there with the cat smoking, and now they're like standing in front of the house, and he's just hanging out with the cat. But he's not like petting the cat. They're just with each other.
Just keeping each other company?
Yeah. It's very interesting.
I wish I could be that free.
Yeah. Anywho, so yeah, we sped run the whole ending, but yeah, just the setting is fantastic with all the parts, and there's the guy who like comes to check the fucking like little hold up that happened, and he gets eyeballed. Charles like slices his throat, and he falls and he gets eyeballed. And at the end they send Chucky. Chucky gets like fucking melded to like a little like roly thing. And as I mentioned earlier, yeah, he completes the Ade Due Dembala, give me the power I beg of you, and it's just too late. And I love that. That's a great twist.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. I really got to give it so many flowers for that. I love that he finally completes it, and it's just point blank period too late.
Yeah, it's so good.
And I love that from this point on. Again, that's probably one of the most unique things about this franchise is, they never drop the chronology. So yeah, the next one he just wants to kill Andy because it's too late.
I think the scariest thing he says in this movie is, he like his legs are all fucked up, and so he finds that cart and he's coming towards Andy on it, and he says something about like, no, I can't change back now, but get over here, Andy, I'm gonna cut your fucking legs off.
Yeah,
it's like, that's so scary, dude.
Yeah, dude, yeah, it's pretty good. So yeah, freaking.
It also shout out to Brad Dourif when he is going in that machine and get it all melted and stuff like that. That's visceral. Those screams that Brad Dourif is doing, he screams, "Oh God, it hurts!"
Yeah,
over and over and over again, and I'm like, I believe you, Brad Dourif. That's so scary.
Oh, I will say, I think he's trying to transfer his soul into someone else's body in the third one, so I guess they kind of whatever, but it doesn't work, obviously. But anyways, he just wants to kill Andy, though.
And who could blame him?
Yeah. But yeah, like when they're stapling his fucking, he's screaming. Yeah. I'd like Brad Dourif again,
And also this puppet that they got in the second one, or I'm sure hundreds of puppets.
Yeah.
Fuck, this thing's so good.
Yeah, it looks good.
Like it's walking around and stuff like that, and clearly not a short man.
Face is much more articulate too.
Yeah.
And I like that it's shifting as he becomes more human.
Mm-hmm.
It's another one of those weird voodoo things where it's like, why? But I don't need to know why.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Don't explain your sci-fi to me.
Yeah, and so ultimately, I think I'm probably giving it a straight C. It's a pretty fun sequel, as far as sequels go, where it's similar enough but different enough, And yeah, it's decent. I'm gonna give it a C.
I'm gonna give this one a B-.
Oh, you like it a little tad more?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch this movie again in the future, like with Friday the 13th Part 5.
Hell yeah,
it's one of those for me.
Hell yeah. So that wraps up this first installment of the Child's Play exploration of the entire franchise. Next episode is going to be Child's Play 3, which is kind of the end of, I guess in like Friday the 13th terms, it'd be like the end of the Paramount run. And then it's also going to include the first of like the New Line Cinema run, which is the Bride of Chucky. So we're going to watch Child's Play 3 and then Bride of Chucky next week.
Child's Play 3 came out 9 months after 2.
Didn't the second come out 9 months after the first one?
2 years.
Oh, 2 years. Okay, my bad. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. This one I remember being pretty weak. It's like Andy's at like a boot camp, like a military school.
It made $6 million.
Yeah, on what kind of budget?
A budget of 13, box office of 20. Which means it made 6 million.
I get you. Yeah. Yeah, and then Bride. Me personally,
sorry, 7. Everyone, I mean 7. I didn't add
That's all right.
sub 10 numbers together and get it wrong. All right, pretend I didn't do that.
Generally, I'm a fan of Bride, though. I do like Bride. Decent horror comedy.
Yeah.
And Brad Dourif, gets to, instead of being the antagonist and only being funny the way that like Freddy is funny. Like, just being like, welcome to prime time, bitch. He gets to just be a character, so it's just a lot of it is, like, marital drama between him and Jennifer Tilly.
Oh, yeah.
Just, like, fighting and stuff. Now that same neighbor is carrying a 52-inch TV across the yard.
Yeah, him and the cat are going to watch it. They can't come inside.
Where is he going? He just carried it to the middle of the yard, and now he's just standing there with it. He's standing in the middle of the yard with it, holding it. Is someone going to come buy it off Facebook Marketplace or something? Okay. 1 second, I have to see. Okay, now he's dragging it. This thing must be broken because it's going to the curb. Yeah, it's going to the curb. Is it? What is he doing? Yes, it's going to the curb. Okay. Peculiar.
This is from the critical response section of the Wikipedia for Child's Play 3.
Yeah.
Series creator Dom Mancini said that this was his least favorite entry in the series, adding that he ran out of ideas in the second film. He elaborated further in 2013, stating that he was not pleased with casting, feeling Jeremy Silvers was too old for the role of Tyler, and Dakin Matthews was not the R. Lee Ermey archetype he was looking for. Isn't that fun? We talked about that guy earlier.
It comes full circle. And I think that makes that Mattress Man. Correct?
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful.
Army.
If you need more soup, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, or go to our website, eatingsoupalone.com. And until next time,